other. So keep in mind, when you're dealing with etymology, the science that treats of the history, the true meaning, the science of words, you're dealing with the true meanings, their origin, their proper matrix, their proper classification. Then you go into definition. Are we clear?
Yes, Lord.
So even without going past the second paragraph, we've already dismissed this argument. You see how simple that is? Because when you have an education, you don't need to go deep into stuff. You just go onto the surface and dismiss it. If you know the rules, it's just like this. If we say, brother, how much is 2 and 2? Sister, how much is 8 and 8? So let's go to China. Ask them the same thing. Is it a matter of interpretation? Same thing goes with law. There are principles that are involved all over the planet. There are universal principles that are called common law. From the common law, the ancient traditions and customs of humans on the planet is derived the civil law that comprises what is known as constitutions. And that common law trumps all of those statutes, codes, etc. And with a knowledge of your nationality and your birthright, you revert to the common law to trump any ens legis that's created by these European colonists that create these brand systems under the 14th Amendment, and also crushes this argument. You don't even need to waste time on this. You just need to know what the nature of it is and that he's in violation of law. Coming here trying to be a voluntary slave to appease his other brothers and sisters like there's some pride. What pride is it in giving up the birthright of your ancestry? What pride is it coming wanting to say, I want to be a slave? You know, what pride is in that? I mean, like he's getting deep. Afrocentric. Really? I don't have too much more to say about it. You know, it's sort of like people coming here trying to appease our people like, you know, they're trying to be your brother. And what they're doing in disguise is enforcing your servitude by making you think he's working in your favor. I guarantee you he's COINTELPRO. I have no compassion for him whatsoever.
Islam.
Islam knows.
I'm also, no, you still got I'm also looking at the fact that what he's doing is exposing them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's really not even about him, but what they're really upset with him is they do this with most people, they naturalize.
Yes.
Right? But the part of their stay is they're not supposed to expose this stuff. So what he's doing is really exposing something that they're doing, which they're really upset with him about. That's one reason.
Because he made it a law case.
Exactly.
And so it must be addressed. See, it must be addressed. But again, and this is my whole point, and I'm agreeing with you because I didn't immediately look at it that way. Because Drew Ali had made this argument, we're already in 101 years already. And this stuff is still being debated, which should not even be debated. You know, the baby come up here, and she look in the dictionary, the debate is over. The Grand Sheik came here and read United States law on citizenship and dismisses it. It's not even debatable. You comprehend? You know, and we go right in the law book, and it dismisses it. And so it's obvious, you know, you can take any beings who don't even know any of this stuff, and in 5 minutes clear it's all up for them by going to a dictionary and a law book and to expatriation on citizenship. It's just that simple. And it's a matter of them just simply purging their habits. But the truth is there, meaning that we didn't take all year, you didn't have to take a semester in college to learn this stuff. All you need is to have educated people share their education with you. And the Moor Science Temple of America is designed to give you an education. And it's beautiful, like what you're saying. See, because once something is taken into what you call a law case, they can't just smooth over. They've got to argue or argue their supports. He's got to argue his supports, and they have to rebut. They make a position, he must rebut. And in doing it, it goes on to the public record, and it creates what you call precedents. You see, so it's obvious, you know, that he's Asiatic, right? And it's obvious that Moors are all around the planet. You comprehend? Now he's bringing up the issue of nationality that has to be discerned, and he's imposing an argument on them that they don't want to hear because it exposes them.
It's fine. Well,
Go ahead.
Just read this again. It says
All right.
Mustafa
Hefny feels he's been black his whole life. Feels.
But check this out.
The U.S. government doesn't agree.
Wow.
He's declaring something that's unconstitutional. And they're admitting it's unconstitutional. But you tell these Asiatics this, they're going to disagree too.
Yeah.
You tell them that they're not black and they're going to disagree.
Yes. And but look at this,
That's
Grant.
sad, right?
Yeah, but look at this. You know, just like we could look at this on its surface, right? Right? And what happens is people will start taking opinions, or they'll start taking sides, again, just like this, how he feels. You don't go by what you feel, you go by what you know.
Go by the law.
And constitutions are for those who know. Knowledge is for those who know. Knowledge and gnosis means knowledge, means to know.
Now, I got to tie this in because it makes
Go ahead.
sense. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's a recent case, right?
That's about
Yes.
878, something like that.
I mean,
No, this
okay,
is recent.
okay,
87?
No, this is recent.
Okay,
This,
Hold on,
it's
hold on.
still recent.
No, this is recent.
It's recent, right? Now,
This is recent.
now.
Oh yeah, 78.
Okay, now.
No, he came
here in 78.
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
case
but
is
the
recent.
right? Now, okay, now let's tie this in. What month is this? This is February, right?
Yeah,
Black
February.
History Month, right? Black History Month, but they just revealed he's not black. He's white. But they got these fools over here. They show the commercial. Ludacris comes on with this crap with what Mandela said, and then the amount of black history. I get so sick of that because now this here just revealed everything. But they still sleep. This is why the prophet said you're dead. It's civil
Little mortus.
Dead in the eyes of the Lord.
Yes.
You don't have no knowledge of
Yes.
it. So you're dead. So we're gonna still continue calling you black, and they're gonna have Negro college fun and all the rest of that crap.
You know, and look
And,
at
the black parade, Puerto Rican parade, the Dominican parade.
Yeah.
See all this stuff.
they're all the same people.
Yeah, same people.
Now, but this is why the history must be known. Like you go to chapter 47, right? And it tells you about the Super Devere. The Great Super Devere is the transit of the Moors onto the land as the land was separated in a what you call a survey, a great surveying between what they would call in the Bible the Septuaginta as the dividing of the land between Ham and Cush.
Or the continental drift.
Yes, or those who cross the river, and this is why we're also called Ibri, or sometimes people say Hebrew, those who cross the river. Not a different people, we're just those who crossed the river before the great earthquake. Before the Atlantic became an ocean, it was a river. And so what you see, we're Africa on the Kibalan, what you say on the east side, that little hub used to fit right in the Gulf of Mexico.
Islam, right? In the
You said Yucatan. And this is why you will see the ancient cities that they let grow over. The pyramids, the world's largest pyramid was in Mexico City. That was the world's largest pyramid. It was so big that when the Christians tore it down, they built cities, plural with it, not city, cities, for about 300 years until they dismantled it. But what's important here, and you know, and I'm glad Grand Sheik Nature brought that to my attention because I saw it that way, but that wasn't the emphasis that I was thinking, because it really puts it on the map. Matter of fact, everybody should have a copy of this, and the details of this should be noted, you know, because people need to know what feelings are disposed to, as opposed to knowledge. They also must know House Joint Resolution 192, the 73rd Congress, and that the United States Corporation Company was dissolved. They're operating in name only. And so the mandate that Noble Drawley declared should be exercised right from here since 1933 officially, even though by right of claim it's prior to that.
Islam.
You know, and so again, we have neglect on our side.
Question. Whenever you get a chance, finish your thought.
You know, so my thoughts are concerning that. When people, this is a good primer to go into law. This should be added to the study on House Joint Resolution 192 and the public law of June the 5th, 1933, when all the seats of the government of the United States Corporation was transferred to the IMF, which means all these people that are operating in government are absolutely imposters.
That's right.
It's not.
Yes.
Another thing I want to say is, even though this was dismissed, whatever the status is, it still serves as case law for Moorish Americans.
Yes, they should be looking at it.
This is how you got to use law, because this hit the court. This hit the national court, or the Supreme Court of the United States. So what that means now is, if he petitioned to be black, and then they say, well, no, you can't do that, you are not black, then that's case law and grounds for you to counter this and say, well, if he can't be black, then neither can I. That's how you got to use that right back on them. And then you have to make them define white and black now.
Exactly.
What law grounds are you using to say that he's not black? Or he's not white?
It's long, Grimsey. Go ahead.
What was that person's name again?
Mustafa Hefny.
Yeah. Mostafa Hefny. Okay.
Hefny. Mustafa Hefny.
Yeah.
That's M-O-S-T-A-F-A, and his last attribute is H-E-F-N-Y. Mustafa Hefny.
Mustafa.
Yes, from Egypt.
Islam, man. I don't see you, bro.
Great article to teach people, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
As ammunition.
Absolutely. We're going to put this in the paper. This is, once
great.
again, he exposed them. That wasn't his intent. He dealing with emotions. But they buried this so that it won't really expose them too much before the hype really gets. You see how we sitting here analyzing this? That's what they don't want. They didn't want nobody to really sit there and say, well, that don't make sense. So they try to dead the issue before it hits the fan. So our job is to do this, because it's right along the lines of what we do. And also, like I said last week, that we're going to write him, we're going to address that to him, but we're going to also make this national headlines and put it back out there so that they can't bury this. Because once again, this helps our agenda.
Great opportunity.
Our status and our agenda to teach people their nationality. So just because you have a nationality, you're charged with teaching other people their nationality, right? Even him, because he's not aware of his. So we still got an obligation to people in this state of mind. Now, this is another question, and we're about to close this portion of the meeting because we have another lecture scheduled for 4:30. But I'm gonna raise a question just to make sure we're thinking. It says, anyone who's ever filed out a census document or taken the SATs is familiar with the odd moment when you have to bubble in your racial classification. It says, for many, listen to this, you gotta learn how to read. It says, for many, the choices are confusing, limiting, and problematic. My question is why?
Exactly.
This is still Sunday school, right? My question to the floor is why? Why is it confusing? Why is it limiting? And why is it problematic? The question is why.
None of it should be.
Starting with Brother Terrence.
To hide what they want you to fill in. To hide the truth. It's like an illusion.
No. Here's my question. If you're the individual, the natural person, right? Filling out the census document or the SAT, right? Why is it confusing to you to classify yourself? Why is it limiting to you to classify yourself? Why is it problematic for someone to do that? They just admitted a person filling this out is confusing, is limited, and problematic. The question is why?
When it's basic to civilization. Identity is basic to civilization.
Let them answer it. Give them an opportunity.
I'm just going with it. They're trying to hide it. If you know your nationality.
Agreed.
All right, Islam. And
that's agreed.
I'm giving everybody an opportunity who's thinking. Sister Mama. Because they give you the choices. All right. You finished?
Which implies voluntary, right? So so servitude might be voluntary, mustn't it? Take that in consideration. Because force is involuntary. Take that in consideration.
Islam. Okay.
We don't know our identity.
Right, they don't know.
We don't know our identity.
Consider everything that's
a
being
good point.
said.
That's a good point. And once
Yes.
again, I'm giving, if it was more input, Emmanuel had his hand up.
I was going to say the same thing, but you're forced to choose one of those.
Y'all don't count. Y'all can't answer. This don't apply to y'all. Y'all got first-hand knowledge.
The first
Islam.
step can be also to confuse between races and statuses.
Right.
And secondly, my opinion is to mess up the minds of the people who's filling out the paperwork, because if I'm a Moor, I'll send my child to school and he's identified as a Moorish American, but he only sees black or Negro on the paper. Mentally, she may just fill that out and put themselves right
Assumptions,
back in the
yeah.
jurisdiction.
Islam.
So it's, from many angles.
Islam, many angles.
Yes.
Islam.
Because for black, they have people within the black racial groups or African groups of Africa. Then they have white as being from North Africa. So people they
get confused.
Why? No.
So they're like, well,
You're right.
do I put white or?
But why are they
Because we
confused?
say Africa and then they say white, say North Africa.
Yes.
But why are they confused?
That's key. Let's emphasize
Because they
this.
don't know who they are.
Let's emphasize this.
Key.
Look, when he's asking why, this is key. Why are they confused? So
That's what
there's
I
no
analyze.
conflict with what you're saying, but pay attention to the question that the Grand Sheikh is presenting. Why are they confused? Continue. Go ahead, brother.
Brother Osman.
Because some of the names they give don't even pertain to race, and if they are meaning to pertain to nationality, it's not broad enough.
All right. Go ahead, brother. Now, everybody pay attention to the answers or the input that everybody's giving, and pay attention to what needs to be done. Islam, good, brother. Yes.
I don't know. I feel like the thing, back in the day, I'm confused.
I know we all would be, but we need to that's what we need to recognize, the fact that we're confused.
The thing was back in the day when people was being raped by white people.
But they wasn't white people.
See, even now, pay attention to the language. All of our language, culture is in the language. The statements are indicative of the misinformation. You're still calling Europeans white people when you're white. We went to law, showed you, right? The people are confused. They think races are real in the sense that they're presented. Race is the human species. The human species is divided or expanded families that are called nations and nationalities all across the planet. The language, the responses indicate the misinformation that needs to be fixed, which is why you're here in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Also showing that we're creatures of habit. That even after hearing the truth, after we read it, you still are practicing the redundancy of the controlled dogmata and schismata taught by European colonists, which means we have to be purged. So that means the people need to learn the truth about their names, their nationality, and their divine creed, as well as correcting their language. They must learn of the matrix of the parts of speech. They must learn basic 8th grade, now we're going to 3rd to 8th grade, orthology, proper placements of words, which is again etymology, which is to begin with. The baby came up here when we were talking. That basic rule and the fundamental principles of law and language is what's missing, which is why the question is, why the confusion? So pay attention to details.
State of mind we examining.
Pay attention to details.
Let me give another example.
Go
Not
ahead.
an example, but a question to validate this one. 2 years ago, they enforced the Census Bureau to send everybody census documents and the SATs to fill out so that they claim that they can get a census, an updated census, especially here in New Jersey. So most of us here in New Jersey, they did it in New York too, but how many of you filled out the census? And remember they said, because we did back then, we did a class on this. They said it was mandatory, and they said it was illegal for you not to fill it out, where you could be brought to court or fined. So my question is, did anybody fill it out?
I didn't.
No, just be honest.
No.
All right.
No.
All right. So, did anybody read it?
I read it.
Nobody familiar with it? All right.
During the class, you made us familiar with.
Yes, but I'm just saying it should have came to everybody's either P.O. box or mailbox, whatever, however you receive mail. They sent one down to every, and in fact, they had people on streets walking from house to house. Whoever didn't fill it out, they sent agents to the house
to
ask you why you didn't fill it out. Nobody got a visit?
No.
You got a visit?
I didn't answer to that.
All right. But it's important. That would have. I wanted to know if somebody had first-hand knowledge of that, because I was going to ask them their encounter, or what did they view off the document. But the main thing I want to highlight to you, because it's the same document they're talking about. That's what they're talking about. But within that census question, race is down there. Race is there. So if somebody had to fill it out, you'd have been confused too. That's why I asked you if anybody knew. But if you didn't, why are you confused? Shati.
The reason why it's confusing is because it's designed to be confusing. They can't tell you who you are. They can't put it, you Moorish American, or you. They can't define it, because if they define it, then they'll open up the eyes of the people. It's systematically designed to be confusing. So therefore, you have to know you have to know your own status. Like with me, when I do any document, any contract I fill out, when they come down to your so-called ethnicity, if there's nothing there, I write in Moorish American.
Can I make a response to that? This is what it is. Remember we just did the small test a little earlier, and I asked how much is 2 and 2?
Yeah.
How much is 2 and 2 and how much 6 is 8 and 8 and like that, right?
Yeah.
What it is, no matter how they write it, if I asked you how much is 4 and 4 and 4 and 4, you would have said 16, right?
Yeah.
If I said how much is 8 and 4 and 4, you would have said 16, right? And if I say how much is 8 and 8 and you say 16, it's because you comprehend the formula. When the people are not educated, you can confuse them. That's what it proves. It proves the confusion is because the people are miseducated, and that's what's being missed in your responses. You comprehend? This is why you must know the truth about your name and nationality, and also the free national government, the principles upon which this movement is made, because once you understand the principles, you can't be fooled no matter how they present it, because you understand the formula. Are we clear? That means if you know that America is a continent, north, central, and south, including the adjoining islands, you know there's no such thing as the American country. You know it's continents. When you're confused, you think America's a country. And soon as they see you fall for that kind of stuff, they already know you think Santa Claus is real.
Exactly.
Same principle. And that bunny rabbits lay chicken eggs on Easter. So they already know that you're miseducated. When they start calling you Negro, Black, and Colored, and Puerto Rican, they already know that you're miseducated if you don't know those names don't apply to us for real. Do you understand? Because when you already know that the Americans are from north continent to the central to the south. They're all Americans. And if a European can come from Europe and make these brothers and sisters from the islands and the south and the north think they're different people, he's got them under control. That's called schismata and dogmata. Are we clear? So this movement is to clear those things up. It's indicative that we don't comprehend the formula. That's why we had the baby come up, and we go right in the dictionary and show these people who think they're black and Africans are Moors. And for the brothers and sisters that think they're Puerto Ricans, that's Boricane. They're Moors, Taino Moors. There's Taino. The Europeans came and wiped the islands out. And they used our women as sex slaves. So that makes us have different complexions, but we're the same people. When you forget your history, you get divided. That's called schismata. You must counter that with a consciousness and make sure that your babies don't continue to be the slaves for the popes of Rome. Are we clear?
Islam.
So they came here and corrupted the books, burned the books, gave you the corrupted Bible and took your land. That's what we're suffering. This movement is to return your lost estate, but you must know your lost estate to know to make the claim. Are we clear? Excuse me.
No, it's all right. It's not. There's more to come, but we got to close this session so we can prepare for the next session. Islam?
Islam.
Islam, brothers and sisters. Before we close, I want to bring up Brother Terrence Bey, and he's going to close out with a poem.
Come on this way, because it's kind of blocked. Here, I'll lift you over here. Over. Islam Wars.
This one's called Divers in Ignorance.
What is it called?
Divers in Ignorance.
Okay.
Right. I sincerely advise those participating in negative to reconsider before their thoughts reflection becomes distorted in their life events. You see, he who does not know the workings of nature surely cannot master their own. So the mission of intention is to manifest, and this is third dimension. Place most call earth. So how can love flow through when the channel to you is tainted? You see, when dealing with energy within this physical body, it can be constructive or destructive. So focus your attention on listening instead of hearing and not heeding. So understand that most has been fooled attending that place they call school, only to defend vividly the height of the hoop. In chapter 47 reveals the split that part of the Mexican, while the descendants of Moroccans are under the impression that African Americans with rights and are citizens. But according to Black's law, they are all legal fictions, so-called nation without being attached to the human family. Divers of ignorance. Islam.
Islam. Thank you, good brother.
Islam.
Islam.
I refer to that as poetic justice.
Yes.
True justice. Because peace in society depends on justice. And it's just another means of communicating love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice to our people. Islam?
Islam.
Islam. So we want to give thanks and gratitude for everyone coming out. And Sister Monica will take up a collection. We'll do it after we close. We're going to go ahead and close the meeting. Before we close, I just want to give an announcement and acknowledgement to Sahiru L. Today is his solar return.
Islam.
Wish him happy solar return. And Sister Farasha, hers was the other day. Islam.
Islam, sis.
So we're still in the midst of celebrating their solar returns, and you all are a part of it. So giving you honor, giving them honor. Trust is many to come. Islam?
Islam.
Islam. So we ask that all Moorish Americans rise for the Moorish American prayer. Face the east. You okay?
Oh, yeah.
Islam. We gotta ask Grand Sheikh Tariq to close out for us.
Islam.
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 Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
The Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Drew Ali. Ameen. Islam, Moor.
Islam Moor's meeting is now adjourned.
We're going to have a donation. I'm going to be collecting donations at this time. Islam.
Sister Monica,
Islam.
coming this way.
Yes, you have a donation, brother?
Islam Moor's.
If you all have
pardon me before everybody disperse. You're welcome to stay. We have a
Right here.
Skype lecture, Brother Tosh Tariq doing at 4:30 online. But you're welcome to stay and view it if you like.
What is this?
Sis.
Islam.
What's this?
5.
It's a 5.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.